Inside the Magic, show number 479 for June 8th, 2014. It is Sunday, June 8th, 2014. This is show 479 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I am your host, Ricky Briganti, with another fun show with all kinds of new and interesting and particularly hilarious Disney entertainment and plenty more. Before we get into all of that, I invite you to visit our website at InsideTheMagic.net. There you'll find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and plenty more. And if you ever have any news, tips, questions, comments, anything you want to send in, you can always email me at ricky@InsideTheMagic.net, or you can call and leave a message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now, let's get on with the show. This week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. Free dining is back for travel between August 31st and December 23rd, with most states included. Certain restrictions do apply. You're going to want to book now for the best availability by calling Magical Travel today at 866-207-8387, or you can visit their website at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And when you do that, be sure to mention Inside the Magic for a free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And thanks very much to all contributors to Inside the Magic, whether you donate once or every month or whenever you feel like it. It's all very much appreciated. And now, let's get started with a trip around the world. Lots of big happenings around the world of Disney over the last few days. A new concept store has opened up out here at Walt Disney World at Downtown Disney as part of the transition to Disney Springs. The store is called Marketplace Co-op. It opened just a couple of days ago on Friday, replacing the old sports store that was there. And the new Marketplace Co-op store has 6 different areas within it, and they're going to change over time. They're not set in stone. It's almost like a little mini mall within the store itself. The walls are on wheels and can be reconfigured as needed. There's different signs sort of indicating each of these little mini storefronts. Currently, the 6 areas that are offered are D-Tech On Demand, which is customizable phone cases and other tech products. There's the Trophy Room, which is most similar to the store that was there formerly, featuring sports merchandise. Beautifully Disney has a line of exclusive makeup and other products similar to that. There's an area called Zoe and Pickles, which is definitely apparel for younger Disney fans, sort of aimed at, teenage girls or so. Cherry Tree Lane is in the back, and that has accessories like shoes, bags, jewelry, sunglasses, the Dooney and Burke bags, and all that kind of stuff. And then, the part that's definitely the most popular among the hardcore Disney fans is the Centerpiece. That's actually the name of the area. It is definitely the centerpiece of the store, because it has lots of, mostly kitchenware, but highly themed to parts of the theme parks themselves. I did not leave there without buying quite a lot, actually. There's Adventureland-themed merchandise and Polynesian-themed merchandise and, Tiki Room, Jungle Cruise. There's others as well. There's Tomorrowland merchandise and Space Mountain and a bit of Haunted Mansion and Mr. Toad little statue and lots of Orange Bird and even a little Dole Whip container. Like, it looks like a Dole Whip, but it's actually a ceramic glass, container. Inventive little products like that you just see it and you're like, yeah, I need that. So if you want to see photos of much of the merchandise that is sold in this new store, head over to InsideTheMagic.net and check it out there. A lot of this merchandise is being sold both at Disneyland as well as on DisneyStore.com, but not all of it. And as I said, it is going to come and go and change every few months or so. We'll see some different either merchandise or store completely little mini stores within there. So it'll be interesting to watch what comes and goes in the new Marketplace Co-op. Now, last year, during Limited Time Magic, there was a very popular offering on Friday the 13th. It was in September last year at Disney's Hollywood Studios, the Unleash the Villains event that brought thousands upon thousands of fans of Disney's villains to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Well, capitalizing on that this year, since Limited Time Magic is no longer around this year, Disney has announced an upcoming after-hours event to be held at Disney's Hollywood Studios called Villains Unleashed. So kind of a spin on the previous name. It's going to take place on August 23rd, and it will feature more than 50 Disney villains, including some from the Star Wars universe. The evening is going to have a special show, a dance party, a hangout, meet and greets, merchandise, food, drinks, and a fireworks finale called Villainy in the Skies, which was the same name of the fireworks show that was attached to the limited time Magic Evening last year. It'll probably be a very similar show again this year, which was a fantastic fireworks show. The special events that will be going on will be a Hades hangout and dance party, as well as Oogie Boogie's variety show, which is what I am most looking forward to. Here you can show up to this in costume. Now here's the catch. Last year, of course, the event was included with park admission. This year it is an extra cost. It is a hard-ticketed after-hours event. You could compare it to like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Annual pass holders and Vacation Club members can currently buy tickets. The general public will be able to buy them starting tomorrow, June 9th, and the cost is $67 plus tax for ages 10 and up, and $62 for children ages 3 to 9. You can call 407-939-1933 to make your reservation, as I did as soon as they announced this. There was no way I was not going to support Disney in their efforts of putting on a villains-themed event. There have been rumors of a villains event, especially at Hollywood Studios, for many, many years. And so for this to be moving on, step one was the Friday the 13th event, which was just a few hours and mostly just meet and greets with a very brief sort of stage show. This is now step two, it seems like, with an even more elaborate offering, and I would love to see this continue to expand in the future and really taking this concept further and further. And the only way that's going to happen is if this becomes a success. So if you are interested in this, I definitely recommend, without even having, knowing too much more about it, go buy this ticket, go there, show your support for the Disney villains, because it should be pretty fun. It's a little pricey, yeah, $67 for an evening, but I think it will be worth it. Now let's jump over to the other exciting area. What's really the most exciting thing going on in Orlando right now at Universal Orlando, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the Diagon Alley expansion is just about complete. In fact, so much almost complete that Universal just a couple of days ago invited out some of the Harry Potter film stars to take a tour. It was the Weasleys. James Phelps, Oliver Phelps, and Bonnie Wright were there, and they were kind of Instagramming their way through their adventure, stopping in various parts, riding the Hogwarts Express, going in the stores, trying the food, etc. They didn't really show off too much that we hadn't seen before, just little sort of tidbits here and there, but it was fun to see sort of their reactions, and it seemed like they were having a lot of fun going through there, which many other people will be doing very, very soon. Still no opening date announced yet, however, and if you want to see those photos, you can head over to our website. More details have been announced about live entertainment and a few interactive experiences that'll be part of Diagon Alley. Of course, we know about the night bus that is parked out in front of the London waterfront area. It has the shrunken head hanging there that's going to be interactive. There will also be a night bus conductor that you'll be able to talk with. In addition, within Diagon Alley, in the Carket Market area, which is kind of the side street running almost parallel to Diagon Alley, there will be two live shows featured. One is a telling of two fables from the Tales of Beedle the Bard, very similar to what was, I believe, in the last Harry Potter film, The Fountain of Fair Fortune and The Tale of the Three Brothers. That latter one is what was part of the film. These are going to be told through puppetry. Sounds pretty interesting. Then the other live performance is going to be the singing sorceress Celestina Warbeck and the Banshees. It'll be sort of jazzy new songs that have been titled by J.K. Rowling herself. Some of the songs include A Cauldron Full of Hot, Strong Love. You stole my cauldron, but you can't have my heart, and you charmed the heart right out of me. Interesting. In addition to that, Universal has announced basically their version of Disney dollars, but they're Harry Potter dollars. More specifically, it's called the Gringotts Money Exchange. Of course, with Gringotts Bank, you will be able to exchange your Muggle dollars, your real-life cash, for Wizarding banknotes. And these special dollars will be able to be used in both the new area of the Wizarding World as well as the older area in Hogsmeade Village and all of that. So another interesting little collectible there. Of course, Ollivanders will be part of Diagon Alley. finale. There's a bit of interactivity there. Now, there's lots and lots of rumors of one more interactive experience that Universal has not confirmed yet, and that is some sort of availability of interactive magic wands that do magical things. So we'll have to still wait and for Universal to officially confirm that long-standing rumor. As far as the opening of it, it's going to be within the next couple of weeks. The press event is June 17th through 19th, coming up very soon, and I've heard lots of rumblings of construction walls coming down very soon, and maybe a little bit of a soft opening soon. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. None of that is, of course, announced. So if you're in the area, if you're in the park, you might just get lucky. Now, here's another exciting announcement that was made here in Orlando just a few days ago for the area of International Drive, the very popular touristy road. Mango's Entertainment is bringing the world's tallest roller coaster to Orlando, or rather, they'll be building it here. They're calling it the Skyscraper. It's going to be opening in 2016, and will be topping off at 570 feet tall. Designed by U.S. Thrill Rides. It's going to be more specifically on the corner of International Drive and Sand Lake Road in a new area called the Skyplex, which is a whole new entertainment complex that they are going to be building. And at the top of this skyscraper, even if you don't want to ride, you'll still be able to go up there with an observation deck, very similar to the Seattle Space Needle in appearance. Lots of stores will be throughout. The whole structure itself, or the roller coaster that will be part of it, will kind of spiral up and down this giant, well, they're calling it a polar coaster. It's something new that they've invented that they're going to be building more of in the future, supposedly, and it will contain outside loops, dives, spirals, inversions. Should be pretty exciting, provided that it actually gets built. I'm a little skeptical myself, even with the announcement, that it will ever actually happen, but I guess we'll wait and see. And if it does get built, I will certainly give it a shot. It sounds fun. Now let's turn to the world of movies, where this week, no surprise, some leaked set photos have come out from Star Wars Episode 7. It showed, and you know what, I'm not into spoilers for this film. I don't want to talk about it, but there's a very specific reason why I'm mentioning this one here. I will say that I didn't even look at these leaked set photos because I just don't want to be spoiled. I don't want to know these things in advance. I just want to watch the movie. So apparently one of these set photos shows what seems to be the Millennium Falcon under construction for Episode 7. Not really a huge surprise that it would be in there, since we know Harrison Ford is returning as Han Solo, but here's where things get quite amusing. Shortly after the set photos made their way around the internet, director J.J. Abrams publicly responded with a bit of humor, posted a photo on Twitter with a handwritten note on it that said, quote, "I wish people would stop leaking photos from Episode 7 and making ridiculous claims that the Millennium Falcon is in the movie." He signed it JJ. And if you looked at the background of the photo behind that note, if you're a big Star Wars fan, you probably noticed the holographic game that is famously played aboard the Millennium Falcon. So it's JJ's way of officially confirming that, yes, the Millennium Falcon will be in the movie. Now stop leaking stuff, basically. So I agree with him. You know, let it sort of run its course. And we're actually going to have a little bit more on this topic from somebody else very important to the Star Wars universe a little bit later in the show. Speaking of Star Wars, though, another Star Wars standalone movie has been announced. Not really any details about the movie itself. We don't know who's going to be in it, or even what it's going to be about, or when it's going to come out, for that matter, but there will be another one, separate from the trilogy, and this one is going to be directed by Josh Trank, who directed Chronicle. That's all we know. So he's going to be directing a Star Wars movie of some sort sometime in the semi-near future. Moving on to the world of television now. Of course, in the season finale of Season 3 of Once Upon a Time, the world was surprised as Elsa from Frozen showed up. You didn't see her face, and that's because they hadn't cast that role yet. They were just teasing for Season 4 that Frozen will indeed be part of the show. Well, now, apparently Once Upon a Time and ABC are indeed casting those roles, and I say roles because not only is it going to be Elsa in Once Upon a Time, but also Anna and Kristoff will be in there as well. So those, they're figuring out exactly who's going to play those people now, working on casting, as well as sort of rumors and hints going around that maybe Olaf will make an appearance in some fashion. So those who are Frozen fans, maybe not watching Once Upon a Time, feeling that show's going to get a whole lot popular next season. In the world of video games, of course, this week is the big E3 event. It is the biggest of the video game events, at least in the U.S., every year, and Jeremiah Dawes will be out there covering it for us here, so looking forward to whatever he is able to report on there in the world of Disney, one of which will be from Disney Interactive and Harmonix. They're going to have the latest from Fantasia Music Evolved there, and they have just recently announced its release date. It'll be available for Xbox One and Kinect for Xbox 360 on October 21st of this year, 2014, with even more information and content to be revealed at E3. So definitely stay tuned this week as Jeremiah heads out there to check out that and Disney Infinity and whatever other interesting properties can be found throughout that world of video games. And actually wrapping up the news a little bit shorter this week, because I only recorded the last podcast a few days ago because it was a couple of days late, but I do want to mention here at the end of the news segment a couple of things that I posted over on Outside the Magic. I had mentioned last week, of course, and actually talked quite a bit about and shared a lot of audio from the Spooky Empire's Mayhem event, shared all the Disney fun from that. Well, this week I got through and posted the rest of the non-Disney stuff over on OutsideTheMagic.com. There you'll find a great tour of the Mucklebones Museum, a great tribute to sort of classic Halloween imagery, a tour of the It's Alive project, where really talented artists did their take on the Bride of Frankenstein. They were given a blank bust, and they sort of made their artistic spin on it. There were some Disney connections in there as well, so you should definitely check that out. The special post on just the cosplay of the event, and then the reunion, 30th anniversary reunion of the cast of A Nightmare on Elm Street, which was a whole lot of fun. So if you're into all that stuff, go check that out on Outside the Magic, and that'll do it for your news from around the world this week. But please do stay tuned for a couple of really, really fun and exciting things that happened over the last few days out here at Walt Disney World. Now, you may have noticed I've been playing some Animal Kingdom music so far in the show, and that's because Harambe Nights has debuted out here at Walt Disney World. I'll be talking all about that special event in just a few minutes, and that's exactly what this week's tip is going to be. I was at Harambe Nights just last night, and so my tip for attending, if you plan on going to this, it's going for several more weeks, get there early, because even though it's technically supposed to start at 7 o'clock, they actually ended up opening up the welcome party 30 minutes early, and that means you had extra time to socialize, to enjoy the band, to eat, and to drink, and that extra half an hour is very, very welcome. So that is my tip for Harambe Nights. Everybody else, email your tips into tips@insidethemagic.net. And now I do want to talk about the special event that's going on Saturdays at Walt Disney World at Disney's Animal Kingdom now through August 9th, and it is called Harambe Nights. Last night was the debut of the event. There are 2 ticket levels for each night of this event. It's an after-hours event after the park has closed, located in the Harambe area, the Africa area of the park. And for adults, it's $119 for a ticket. For children, it's $79 for a ticket. There were premium tickets available, but those have, from what I understand, sold out already for all of the weekend, so you'll just have to go with the regular ones, but I'll talk about the differences between that. Really not that much of a difference anyway. Before I get into my thoughts on this special event, I should note that I was invited to participate in this. I did not pay for my ticket, however, that would not influence my perception of the event one way or the other, because I'll tell you some good, and I'll tell you some bad about it as well. So, with that said, Harambe Nights begins officially, as I just mentioned, at 7 p.m. at Animal Kingdom, though they did sort of drop the rope on it at 6:30, and it starts out in the new area of the park, and that is Disney has built this new theater for Festival of the Lion King, the Lion King themed show that goes on during the day, and there's sort of a small surrounding area. It's almost like a mini land within Harambe that they've added on. There's a small shop and lots of buildings and facades and seating and all of that. So that's the location of this welcome reception when you first show up there. And that's sort of the beginning of it. Once you move on from the welcome reception, then you move into the second part of the event, which is the Lion King Concert in the Wild, which is a new show inside that Festival of the Lion King Theater. Once that concludes, you move on to the Harambe Nights Street Party. So when thinking of Harambe Nights, don't think of it as just the show. That is definitely not the focus of this event. If you go in thinking it is just the show and then, oh yeah, there's some food and stuff, you might actually walk out disappointed, because in my opinion, the food was better than the show. The food was phenomenal, and I will talk more about that in just a second here, but it's definitely worth mentioning that you have to think of Harambe Nights as the whole experience. It's meant to be a party in Animal Kingdom, bring some nightlife to Animal Kingdom, certainly looking ahead toward Avatar and Pandora. That's one of the goals, is to make Animal Kingdom a full-day park. Don't have it shut down when the sun sets. So this is definitely a step in that direction, and Disney has done a good job with bringing that nightlife to the park. There, you don't have to involve rides, you don't have to involve animals to still have a good time in Animal Kingdom. So what goes on during the welcome reception? Well, as soon as you get in there, there is a variety of what I would, certainly would call appetizers awaiting you there. There's a live band playing immediately, playing some, African-style music. There's a host of the event welcoming you in. There's a few costumed characters on stilts. There's face painting going on. They'll give you some sort of fluorescent, almost tribal-influenced face paint for those who want to participate in that, and the appetizers that are laid out include what they're calling, their quick bites. They're a spicy Durban chicken, a Moroccan beef kefta, a pickled fennel paneer cheese in a little cup, and a safari cheeseburger roll, which... Yeah. So the definitely, I kind of would sort those in my order of preference in exactly the order I just said. The Durban chicken was very good. It wasn't as, it's called spicy, but it wasn't that spicy. The Moroccan beef was pretty good. The fennel paneer cheese didn't really have any flavor at all. And then the safari cheeseburger roll it's basically an egg roll mixed with a cheeseburger, and it's particularly greasy inside, and it's definitely geared toward those who might be afraid of the African spices that they would put on there, and they want a more American flavor. So not really my thing, but I could see where some would eat those up like crazy. Now, in addition to that, and this is going to be a big draw for the adults attending Harambe Nights, throughout the welcome reception and the dinner afterwards, there's an open bar. In fact, there's many open bars for the entire night, except during the show. So you have options of beers, wines, and a specialty cocktail that they're mixing, which is jungle juice. They have a non-alcoholic version of it, but they're basically pouring rum into a mixture of, I believe it was a guava and passion fruit and maybe pineapple, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be wrong on that third one, but it was a good drink. They were pouring it heavy. It seemed like they were it didn't matter which station you went to, every single one seemed to be really laying on the rum. I don't know if that was a goal to make you not drink as many or just to make everybody really happy, but either way, you definitely could easily get your money's worth out of this event just if you want to drink a whole lot. If you're not a big drinker, however, it might be a little bit more difficult. Of course, you have to be 21 years old to drink, naturally. So that welcome reception, if you get in at 6:30, goes on for about an hour. You're just kind of standing around, eating, socializing, like I said, face painting, enjoying the live band that was there, which was very good. A small band, very entertaining, and I would say the downside of this area is it really isn't anywhere to sit. You're outside the theater. They've got these tables you can stand and eat at, but at this point the sun is still out, and it's hot. Of course, it's summer in Florida, so you're eating hot food for the most part, and so it makes it a little bit difficult to initially enjoy this part of it because as I said, you're eating hot food, maybe even a little spicy food, and you're sweating at the same time. So I think more, maybe some umbrellas or some seating or something would be nice in the area, but for the most part, the welcome reception was definitely enjoyable, worth showing up early for to get that extra bang for your buck. Now, as you enter in the park, as you're you hand over your ticket for Harambe Nights, you're given a wristband for what section that you're going to be in, and this is where the premium tickets come in. There's 4 different sections. If you can imagine what the Festival of the Lion King Theater looks like, even the new one looks pretty much exactly the same as the old one. It's a theater in the round, normally by day. So there's 4 sort of bench stadium bench style seating, like high school gymnasium type seating on each side. Now they've removed one of these sections to put in the stage for Harambe Nights. So that leaves 2 side sections, one straight on section in the back. And then they've added seats on the floor right in front of the stage and the orchestra that plays during the show. So the premium seats are the ones down close to the stage, closer to everything. Everybody else kind of seems like you got randomly sorted into these other sections. I don't know if you really had a say into which you got, and they're named after animals. There's the zebra section and the giraffe section, etc. So the zebra section is the one that's kind of front, straight ahead, whereas the lion section is the one that's on the floor. The other 2 sections are the sides. So if somehow you can finagle your way into the zebra section when you show up, it would be recommended. And I would even recommend further sitting in the back of the zebra section, because you can actually lean back against the bars, or really any of the bench style sections, because they're benches. And if you don't have that, you're going to be sitting there for the hour show without a back on. So it was nice. I definitely took the back row and enjoyed being able to lean back during the show. So there's another little Harambe Nights tip. So once you get a wristband on the way in, that's the section you're supposed to sit in, and on your way into the park. Now on your way into the theater itself, you are handed another little snack, and you can bring your drinks in. Another good tip here: don't chuck your drinks assuming that you have to throw them out. Bring them in with you, because you're going to be in there for an hour watching the show. You're going to want something to drink, and they do serve sodas, by the way. I should have mentioned that. In addition to the beer, wine, and cocktails, they have Sprite, Coke, and Diet Coke and that sort of thing. And water, for that matter. So you can bring whatever you're drinking in the theater with you. In fact, if you're holding 5 drinks, you could probably bring them all in there. And on the way in, they hand you sort of this bamboo-looking tube that is sort of the equivalent of eating popcorn in a movie. Well, in this case, you're eating lion chow, as they call it, which has sea-salted toasted pretzel chips, bene crumbs, cardamom candied pecans, golden raisins, and dried cherries. All very good. I was enjoying eating it throughout the performance. After eating just the appetizers initially, not quite at the dinner phase yet, I was very happy to have something to munch on throughout the hour-long Lion King concert in the wild. Now, as for the show itself, this is normally, of course, the part of the podcast where I'd be like, well, let's go over to the show and I will share with you a recording of some of it. Well, unfortunately, as I said earlier, I was invited to participate in this. I did not pay for my own ticket, and as such, their rule for that was that I was not allowed to record any portion of the show. Now, they made an announcement before the show that only said no flash photography. So buy anybody else's paid ticket. And it seemed like you could video the whole show if you wanted to. You could take a bazillion pictures if you wanted to. But for me, I was asked by Disney not to record the whole show and that they would supply some video at some point. So I don't actually have a recording to share with you right now. But honestly, I wouldn't share that much with you, because this concert in the wild did not come off exactly as I had anticipated. Let me read you the description of what this show is supposed to be. Marvel at the sights and sounds as iconic scenes from The Lion King are recreated with splendid theatricality, all while a celebrity narrator, live orchestra, and choir provide the soundtrack for a never-before-seen take on the Lion King tale. Sounds very intriguing, very entertaining, and it was. I did enjoy a large portion of this. However, a large portion of it was also basically sitting there watching movie screens. It was like, at times, a giant advertisement for the Blu-ray release of The Lion King, which was unexpected, to say the least. As the description says, there's a wonderful live orchestra there. There's a wonderful chorus, a choir of people who are very talented singers. There's the celebrity narrator there. There's also another narrator as part of the show. And when they were all singing and dancing and playing music, and it was great sort of interpretational dancing based on the music and the plot of The Lion King. The narrators were sort of doing the lines of it. All that was great. But that was only about half the show. The other half of the show was staring at screens, watching like 2, 3, 4, 5-minute scenes from the movie. Now, during those movie scenes, the orchestra was playing, which was great. I think it should have been emphasized even more that you were hearing a live orchestral version of the music of The Lion King while you watched the movie. Unfortunately, they left in the sound effects from the movie. They left in the dialogue from the movie. It's not like the narrators were supplying that dialogue. It was the actual voices from the film. So even though you had this live orchestra there playing, talented, great musicians, they were kind of drowned out by and almost put in the background by all of the sounds and the voices. And so you sort of lost that connection in your brain while you're staring at the screen. You lose the fact that this is a live orchestra playing. You just feel like, I'm just watching the movie, which of course, you can pop in the Blu-ray at home and there you go. I think it would have been a great idea for them to mute the movie itself, turn off the dialogue, turn off the sound effects, and tell everybody this is a tribute to the music of The Lion King, a concert in the wild, as it's called, and really focus solely on the music and not so much the plot and the comedy and of course the Mufasa Scar death scene they played in its entirety. And naturally, there were people crying and, wiping away tears. And of course, you can watch that movie at home and you're going to cry. I mean, that's one of the most emotionally charged scenes in any Disney movie ever. I mean, World of Color does the same thing. They play off of that, and this does too. But you're not responding to the show itself at that point. You're just responding to the movie, the very well-crafted classic Lion King film. But it kind of misses the mark a little bit on a live show at that point. So I would have loved to have them just mute the movie and let me enjoy and listen to the music itself. Now, yes, I'm going on and on about the negative parts, so let me talk about the great parts. When it was sort of the first half was really reliant on the movie clips, very much so. I mean, the list of songs, I'll include that. There's quite a lot of songs. Of course, there's Circle of Life. There's I Just Can't Wait to Be King, Be Prepared, Hakuna Matata, Can You Feel the Love Tonight, etc., etc. So, sort of the first half of the film, the songs that come from that was very reliant on the clips from the movie. Then moving into the second half, it became much more driven by the performers, which was excellent. That's when I felt like the show really started to become its own, and that it wasn't so awkward just sitting there watching like a choir of 30 people also watching the screen and not doing anything. It became they were there. They were sort of acting out through interpretive dance moments from the movie, and it was still playing on the screen, but it wasn't so reliant on it. You were hearing them sing and watching them dance, and it became quite an entertaining show. Very different from Festival of the Lion King. Definitely more of a, it's not Broadway. It's not that type of a show. It's not a actual reenacting of the moments of the movie. There's no, you don't see the characters themselves in the show. It is very interpretive. That is really the best word that I have for it. Sort of, being inspired by the feeling of the film and showing that through movements and through song. That really started with Can You Feel the Love Tonight? From that moment on, it became a much better show for me. There was a really amusing moment, actually. I forgot to mention this earlier at the beginning when they told everybody, mute your phones or turn off your phones so nobody's ringing. Turn off your flash for your cameras. The sort of host of the event also held up what he was reading off of, which was essentially an iPad, a tablet. He held it up and he basically said, "Don't do this," and block everybody behind you, and the whole crowd applauded. So it was Disney's way of jabbing at the people who hold up the iPads and block everybody behind them, whether it's at a show or fireworks or whatever. So yes, I applaud them for making that specifically known, and within a couple of minutes I saw somebody recording the show with an iPad, which was, yeah. So the celebrity narrator last night for this first night was Viola Davis, the Oscar-nominated star of The Help, and it was interesting. I didn't really feel like the show needed a celebrity narrator. I didn't think she added much to the show. She was there, and she played her role. There were a few technical glitches, which should be expected on opening night of just about anything. But other than that, I don't feel like she added to the show. She was just she could have been replaced by any other performer also delivering the same lines, and it would have had the same impact. So that may change with some of the other narrators. I can look at like David Alan Grier is going to be there on June 28th. He's a comedian, very vibrant, very lively. I have a feeling he'll add his own sort of twist to the event. Honestly, I haven't heard of a lot of the other people who are on this list, so I don't know what they will add, but he stands out to me as somebody who may really put a fun spin on it. But for the most part, it can be directly compared to Candlelight over the Candlelight Processional over at Epcot, except in that case the narrator is kind of front and center and really the star of the show, whereas this the narrator was sort of tucked to the background and you almost didn't even realize that they were there. So I don't know if that was necessary. So the takeaway for me from this show was the live portions that were 100% live, very entertaining, very well done, but that wasn't enough of the show. Half of it I just felt like I was watching the movie, which was a little bit disappointing. Fortunately, immediately after leaving that was the Harambe Nights street party that went on for 2 hours, not in the area around the theater, but the full entirety of the Harambe area, all the way back to Kilimanjaro Safaris. The ride was not open, but you could just walk up and down through. The Tusker House restaurant was open for indoor seating if you wanted to get away from the DJ dance music that was going on. And to Disney's credit, they did not venture off into your standard dance party music by the end of the night. They kept the theme. They kept it. It was pop music, certainly, but it was African sort of sounding, and perhaps even actually African pop music, which was nice. They really made sure to keep that going throughout the night and give that, I don't know if authentic is the right word, but it felt right for the park, which was nice that they kept that going. But more importantly than that, the food was phenomenal. I was not expecting, I would never expect buffet food to be this good. I mean, I go to Boma all the time. Certainly, I love the food there. I would actually say the food served at Harambe Nights is better than Boma, and that's saying a lot for me. I'm going to run through the list of, there's a lot of food available off multiple buffet areas. Not everyone is serving the same thing, so definitely hop around. There's watercress, melon, feta, and berry balsamic onion salad. Excellent. The feta was phenomenal. A roasted beetroot salad, a creamy mac and cheese. The mac and cheese was just kind of your standard mac and cheese, so I wouldn't fill up on that. Spicy vegetable samosa, the slow roasted chicken legs. That would definitely be your option for if you don't like a lot of spice. It was, I wouldn't say it was under-seasoned, but it was the least seasoned of the bunch. Traditional naan, kulcha, and papadum breads with roasted pepper hummus and garlic dip and other dips, and that was straight out of Sanaa. The bread service that I was just raving about recently that I just had, these were literally straight out of there, which is great. You can have all you want over that. There was a mango, radish, lime, and mustard seed salad, a watermelon, cucumber, and fennel salad, both really excellent as well. Coriander chutney, roasted potatoes were great. I could have just eaten the potatoes all night. There was a fish, a Corvina filet with curry. I don't really eat seafood, so I actually did not have that. The seared lamb chops, wow, those were excellent. Normally you get lamb chops on a buffet, like if you go on Disney Cruise Line and it's in there, or even at Food and Wine Festival, and they're good, but they're not like blow you away good. These were thick and well seasoned, well spiced, and just fantastic lamb chops. I'm a big fan of lamb, so I definitely had several of those. Fork tender, pearl barbecue pork, and vegetarian eggplant tikka masala curry. And again, very, very good. Butter chicken thighs, also very good. So throughout, I mean, you will, no question about it, you will completely fill up on food and then some. You'll want to go back for seconds, and you'll just keep eating because it is tremendously good. The desserts were not quite as good. There's a small variety of them. Golden pineapple with toasted coconut, apple slices, ripe melon, rice pudding, some chai cream with zebra stripes, and then sort of your assortment of ice cream bars like the Mickey Premium Bar and whatnot. I didn't think the desserts were fantastic. I wish they were like zebra domes or something. But short of that, really the entree food was the highlight of the entire evening. Being able to sit around, actually sit comfortably. Like I said, you can go inside the Tusker House if you want and just sit and enjoy. Definitely a really nice dinner. So when you're talking about paying $120, $119 to go to this event, you're definitely paying for the food and the party aspect more than the show, in my opinion. If I were to pay $120 for that show, I would be really, really disappointed. But maybe it's a $30 show, and then you paid a lot for it. Especially, like I said, the drinks continue throughout the night, and if you manage to really enjoy a drink and have several throughout the evening, then you will find enough value out of that $120 plus the extra entertainment. Now, at the very, very end of the night, and this is something I believe I actually missed part of, it ends at 10:30. There's 2 hours after the show. It's a 1-hour show, and there's 2 hours after that in which you can party. I don't know if they ever made an announcement, and I missed it, or they just never made an announcement, or they expected people to leave early. But I guess there was a small gathering of characters and whatnot in front of the Tree of Life, so that you were supposed to kind of see on the way out as a goodbye moment. Well, that ended promptly at 9:30. So those who stayed in the street party until 10:30. Those who stayed until 10:30 in Harambe actually missed what was going on in front of the Tree of Life, which I thought was a little odd. They should have left that going at least until 10:40 or so to give everybody a chance to get out and actually see it. What I did see, however, and this was an interesting little footnote tonight, on the way out, I caught out of the corner of my eye the Tree of Life had little blue twinkles in it, which was definitely new. And I apparently the cast members were telling everybody that was a reference to the stars in the sky that Mufasa speaks of in The Lion King. But the fact that they're bright, twinkling blue lights in the Tree of Life, you immediately make that Avatar connection. And it's clear that Harambe Nights is a stepping stone toward the night life of Animal Kingdom, especially as Pandora makes its way into the park by 2017. Of course, this is not anything like the final effect. They have said they're going to make the Tree of Life glow, certainly, much like the tree, the big prominent tree in the movie Avatar. This is not that yet, but I do feel like this was a little hint, a little nod in that direction, being like, yeah, we just held our first big nighttime street party, and this is sort of a sneak peek of what's to come for Animal Kingdom, the new Animal Kingdom, and here's a little blue twinkle just to give you a little tiny taste of what is on the way. And you know what? Even that little effect got me kind of excited. I thought it looked nice. I did post a video of it online, and it really doesn't do it justice because of the refresh rate of the video and the frame rate and the way that the lights were. It kind of looks like the lights are strobing and blinking at you. It's not really at all what they looked like in person. It was a much more subtle effect that you kind of had to really focus to see. Very clearly sort of this gentle nudge toward Avatar. At least it was clear to me. So Harambe Nights in a nutshell, if you look at the whole event, I do think $120 is a little steep for it. If I know I've said this a few times already, but you would have to eat and drink your way through this event to make it worth that price, because I don't think the show is quite gonna do it. Now, with that said, if you are a huge fan of The Lion King, you'll eat it up completely. You'll love seeing all the movie clips because, well, you're a huge fan of the movie. For me, I'm just a casual Lion King fan. I don't dislike it by any means. It's a very good movie, but it's not one of my favorites at all. So for me, just sitting there and watching clips of The Lion King was not exactly what I was hoping for when going into a show. So there's that. There are many nights still available. It runs all the way through August 9th on Saturdays, and tickets are available for the regular seating for all of that. And the only difference really between the regular and the premium is just the separate section to sit in for the show, which is not that big a deal. So if all of that sounded like a good time to you, and everybody definitely had fun. I mean, there were smiles on everybody's faces, and with great food and great company, and there were characters, meet and greets and that sort of thing. It was overall an enjoyable evening. Just don't set your expectations way too high for the show, because it's not quite way up there. So there it is. Harambe Nights. I'll be posting more about that over on InsideTheMagic.net very soon, including some video as soon as Disney gets that over to me, along with some pictures as well. Harambe Nights was definitely not the only excitement at Walt Disney World over the last few days, as Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, was here for Star Wars weekends, and boy, was that entertaining. Of course, he was in the motorcade along with the other celebrities this weekend, Billy D. Williams and Ray Park, and a few others, but it really, of course, Mark Hamill was the star. It was his first ever appearance at Star Wars weekends in the 17 years that this event has going on, and he made the most of it. There was a what they called a conversation with Mark Hamill each day, hosted by Clone Wars voice actor James Arnold Taylor, and this was a 45-minute session of nothing but talking with Mark Hamill, and he was wonderfully entertaining. I was there for the first one on Friday, and I wanted to share some highlights of this with you now. He not only, of course, he's known as Luke Skywalker from the Star Wars films. He's going to be Luke Skywalker again in Episode 7, and maybe beyond. We'll see. But in addition to that, he's also a very talented voice actor, which we heard some funny bits from as well. But before getting to that, let me add in here sort of course, what was on everybody's mind. Episode 7. You know, what is going on with that? What can Mark Hamill dish about Episode 7? And the answer to that is not a whole lot. In fact, almost nothing. But what he did say was rather important. So here's James Arnold Taylor and Mark Hamill talking a little bit about Episode 7.
Have you been working on anything lately? Clean shaven. I'm not used to the facial hair, but there's this little independent low budget picture, and it's the life story of George Lucas, and I'm up for the title role. Yeah. So okay, a little bit more like George. You know, the thing is. Here's the thing about all that. My opinion, Mark, is when I saw Star Wars the first time, it was magical. It was magical for so many reasons, but one of the reasons is I didn't know everything about it. I went in, and I just was taken up in the magic of all of it. And that's what I am looking forward to about Episode 7. Is just having that time where I try to just shut away. So I want to talk to you about your career. I want to talk to you about Star Wars 4, 5, and 6. I want to talk to you about how it all began. So if you don't mind, we're gonna skip over all that because I want to be excited. I know some of you want to be surprised when you see this movie as well, right? So before we leave that subject matter of keeping secrets, it's not a game, you know. It's not like we're trying to annoy the fans or drum up interest. You know, it's like trying to plan a really big, elaborate surprise party, and you're trying to decide what food you're going to get and who's going to decorate it, and you know where you're going to have it and so forth. And it's it's mostly so we can maximize your eventual enjoyment of the picture, and we want you to see it at the movies, not on the internet. And so it's very nice. There are blue meanies out there. That are going to try and show you every creature, and God knows they'll probably try and leak the script and put it online. So if I were you, I'd do that. That's right. I don't know about you, I've seen trailers where you go, hi, I think I've seen the whole movie. You want some surprises, that's all. Okay, well, we're done with that. We're done with that. Thank you, though. Thank you so much.
So that clearly ties in with what I was talking about earlier with J.J. Abrams responding to the leaked set photos. Mark Hamill is urging everybody, just stay away from the leaks, stay away from the spoilers, don't share them, don't comment on them, don't even look at them, just be surprised by the movie. And I wholeheartedly agree with all of that. They'll put out what they want to put out when they want to put it out, and they'll have reasons for it, and they're not going to spoil the whole movie in advance, which is wonderful. And if the rest of the world would just not spoil it for everybody, that would be phenomenal as well. Now, moving on from there, as I mentioned, Mark Hamill, very talented voice actor. He also does some very amusing impersonations. You heard him doing just a tiny bit of George Lucas there, but in sort of the grand conversation here for 45 minutes, he threw in a number of amusing imitations of his co-stars and others, along with some great stories from the Star Wars universe. So I'm just going to share a few more highlights from his conversation at Disney's Hollywood Studios during Star Wars weekend. So I don't want to spoil it. So here's one of them.
We went in and I read this screen test. Yeah. And I'm thinking, is this like serious or is it a parody? It seemed to me like it could be like Mel Brooks or something. Do you remember some of the lines? Here's the thing. Now, I've done this before. Bear with me if you've done this before. But there's a line that was in the screen test that's not in the movie. And all these years later, 163 years later, I still remember this line. Because we're in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, and there was no Wookiee. It was just Han Solo, and he was like, hey, good, I did my part.
to make sure that minimalist, low energy that Harrison does. And you need to lean into everything he says because it's like he's hypnotizing you at the same time as he's delivering dialogue. But anyway, he was saying that we're turning back. And I said, and my character says to him, but we can't turn back. Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquila or Summit. And what there is more likely directed towards a large-scale assault. And I'm like, who talks like this? I mean, you can diagram that sentence?
Yeah.
Let's break it down. Fear is their greatest defense, meaning whatever that, because he says, that's no moon, that's a space station. That's why he wants to turn around. And regarding that space station, I say, but fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquila or Sullust, two made-up names of little asteroids, that I get.
Sure.
And what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault. In other words, we're small enough in the Millennium Falcon to slip in because they're looking for big armadas.
Yep.
So it made sense when I broke it down. But I remember saying to George, I said, this is like kind of in fun, and he was like, well, let's just do it and we'll talk about it later. Which I later learned from experience, when George says that, it means let's do it now and never talk about it.
Mark Hamill definitely does a great Harrison Ford imitation there. In addition to that, the topic of they kind of ran through some various of the co-stars that Mark Hamill had worked with throughout the filming the original trilogy. One, of course, was none other than Frank Oz, better known as, in the world of Star Wars at least, Yoda.
Frank Oz.
Frank Oz.
Oh, Frank. Well, I grew up being just so enamored of the Muppets. I mean, even before the Muppet Show, they say, hey, Mark, the Muppet Show will be on Ed Sullivan this Sunday. And, so I was a huge fan.
Yeah.
And he couldn't be nicer. Again, he's a wonderful director, as he's shown over the years. But so personable, and that's Wendy.
Yeah.
It was very lonely on the set because they were all underground. I had a little earpiece, much like this one I have on today, and if I turned in a certain direction, I'd pick up radio waves. So I'd be watching Frank and many years ago, and all of a sudden it would I go, I'm in the Rolling Stones. Oh, there he is. I said I sort of laughed. Right in Yoda's face, didn't I?
You do a pretty good Yoda. I think.
Well, you know what happened is we all started doing Yoda. Everybody, then we'd break for lunch and the boom guy would say, to the commissary you are going? So everybody's talking backwards and talking like Yoda. And Frank eventually said, please, it was posted on the call board, please stop doing Yoda because Frank's starting to do your version.
Yes.
His version. So you gotta stop.
Now, Hamill shared many more fun and amusing stories from the set of Star Wars throughout working on its many years across the original films, and definitely expressed his own sort of geekiness for the subject of sci-fi, and in the process, channeled a bit of Harrison Ford once again.
So many of these elements in the movie were right out of the kind of things that I loved when I was a kid. Tarzan movies and, swashbuckler pirate movies, cowboy movies, and it just seemed like a dream come true. I mean, I was a kid that read Famous Monsters magazine, built all the Aurora Monster kits.
Yeah.
So I was the one that would really get it. Hey, you guys! Our faces are masked on the back of cereal boxes. I can't believe it. And Harrison like, hey, I didn't get in this business on a cereal box. I said, yeah,
I think it's so funny to hear Mark Hamill imitate himself as a younger version of himself, the Luke Skywalker self. He kind of sounds like Wallace Shawn when he's doing that. But anyway, so the absolute highlight of this first conversation with Mark Hamill came maybe 3/4 of the way through when they started to bring in some questions that they had accepted via Twitter. And somebody asked one that absolutely sent everybody into hysterics and has actually since caught on as a bit of a viral video on our YouTube channel. This clip that I'm about to play for you is Mark Hamill providing one of his other really famous roles in conjunction with Luke Skywalker. And if you check out the video on our YouTube channel, it already has like 275,000 views or something silly like that. So here it is. If you're a fan of Batman, then you're going to love this.
Could you do a short dialogue between Luke and the Joker, where Joker tells Luke... Not to put you on the spot or anything. I mean, that's kind of... Well, to get warmed up to this. Luke, it's me! The Clown Prince of Crime! And also, your father. Get used to it, kiddo. Paul Dini is a wonderful writer. Paul Dini wrote some of the best Joker episodes. And all these years later, lines pop into my head like, without that man, crime has no punchline. Crime has no punchline like it needs one. He's just wonderful, you know. Because let's face it, it's the dark night that made me the happy camper I am today. How I agonized over how to thank him for that. Perhaps with a cyanide pie in the face, or an exploding whoopee cushion painfully placed in the Batmobile.
And there it is, the highlights of Mark Hamill at Star Wars Weekends 2014. If you want to see him act out that absolutely hilarious Joker bit, as well as the full presentation, the conversation with Mark Hamill, definitely head to our website or go to youtube.com/InsideTheMagic to watch it all. It is wonderfully, wonderfully entertaining. You can also see a video of Mark Hamill appearing in the motorcade along with Billy D. Williams and the others who were there for this Star Wars Weekends. It was definitely a real treat to finally have him come out for that event, and hopefully now that Disney certainly owns Star Wars, and Star Wars is a huge part of Disney, hopefully next year's Star Wars Weekends will be even bigger and better. I'm really looking forward to all of it, and certainly episode 7 as well. So go check that out on the website and YouTube, and there it is from Star Wars.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky. Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Ricky, this is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Inside the Magic listener feedback.
Well, I skipped listener feedback last week, so let's do a little bit this week before rounding out the show. First up is an email from Luke, who writes, "Thank you for your weekly podcast. Being a big Disney fan, I've been listening to your podcast every week on YouTube. My family and I have been taking trips to Walt Disney World for as long as I can remember, and I've lost count how many times we've gone down there from Indiana. It's got to be well over 15 times. I do remember going down when Animal Kingdom just opened up. This year, my mother is planning on taking the whole family down in December for 5 days to see the Christmas decorations. It'll be our first time going down in December. Although me and my family have been going down for many years, I'd like to be prepared for Florida during December. Are the resort pools heated? Should we bring long pants and sweatshirts with us when we go there?" Luke, thanks for the praise on the podcast. Glad you've been enjoying it. And it sounds like you've been a long-time Disney fan, which is wonderful. Yeah, December is a little bit unpredictable. Sometimes it can feel like summer. Sometimes it can feel wonderfully comfortable. And other times it can be really cold. So I would watch the weather all the way up until the absolute last minute when you are packing, and base your necessities on that, because you might need shorts and t-shirts, you might need sweaters and long pants and scarves and gloves. You know, it's all over the place in December here. Lately, it hasn't been too terribly cold, but definitely cold enough to wear long sleeve shirts or sweatshirts and pants. So I would be prepared for that, because that's more likely what you will need. As far as the pools, I don't know if all of them are heated, but there is a large percentage of them that are. So you should be able to seek out and find a heated pool while you are here. So that shouldn't be too difficult for you. But of course, remember that when you get out of a heated pool, it is very, very cold out when it is cold out. So keep that in mind. Next email comes in from Susie, who writes, I'm going with my family to Disney World in October, but we're also going to take a day and spend it at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, including Diagon Alley. We're planning to get the 2-park pass in order to travel between Hogwarts and Diagon Alley, but I'm not sure what to expect in terms of crowds. I know October is not peak season, but do you think the newness of Diagon Alley will keep crowds high? We're going on a weekday, which should help, but should we plan on heavy crowds or not? Susie, yes. Simply, yes. It's going to be very, very popular for a long time. In addition, you're coming in October, which means it's Halloween Horror Nights season, so you got to plan around that. If you want to be there, well into the night and you're not interested in Horror Nights, it's in the same park as Diagon Alley, Universal Studios Florida. So that park, as presumably, they haven't actually announced this yet, but presumably it will be the same as it has been for many, many, many years, and the park will close early in order to make way for Horror Nights in the evening. Now, this is sort of a twist this year. With the popularity of Diagon Alley, I have to imagine, again, this is not official, but I have to imagine they're going to leave Diagon Alley open for Halloween Horror Nights, and they're probably not going to put anything Horror Nights related inside that area. So if you wanted sort of a twist on being able to experience Diagon Alley, maybe getting a ticket to Horror Nights would be a good way to do that, and then just focus on Potter. I have a feeling a lot of people are probably going to do that. In fact, it might actually draw crowds away from the haunted houses of Horror Nights because everyone's going to be so enamored with Potter. Hard to say at this point how that'll affect all of that, but it's definitely something to consider when planning your time there. But in short, yes, expect heavy crowds. Next email comes from Barrett in California, who writes, I live out in Anaheim and go to Disneyland regularly with an annual pass. I have claustrophobia and used to be fine with lines, but it's gotten to the point where I had to start avoiding rides like Indiana Jones or Space Mountain if I could not get a fast pass. I used to use the guest assistance card system, but always hated the transaction of going into City Hall and pleading my case as to why I need the special access. Once I would get the card, I would be fine, but would completely avoid going into City Hall and being issued a new card if I left mine at home. Since they phased out that system and have switched over to the new system, I have avoided trying to get one altogether so I don't have to go through the rigorous questing at City Hall. Do you have any tips for me at City Hall to make my transaction anxiety-free and smooth so I can enjoy some of my favorite attractions again? Really great question there, because I know this has been on the minds of many who have had to make that transition from the old system to the new one, and Disney, certainly that is the starting point, like you just said. In order to have the new card that you can then bring around to the attractions and get your return time stamps so you can come back and bypass the lines as needed for your condition, that is exactly what Disney wants you to do, is show up at City Hall, explain your situation briefly, and they'll issue what you need to. So if the simple act of going to City Hall is problematic for you, I know there certainly can be a line there. It's not the biggest area. City Hall in Walt Disney World is fairly large, whereas City Hall in Disneyland is actually kind of cramped. So I could see where that could be a problem with your situation. I would talk to a cast member outside of City Hall. There's usually somebody standing around there. Just to the left of City Hall is actually where the tour guides meet, the ones dressed in plaid, just like in City Hall. A lot of them, in fact, most of them, work in City Hall as well, or they have. So they understand the whole system as well. Maybe even talk to them. That way you don't have to necessarily be involved with that sort of commotion of getting into City Hall. If you explain your situation to them, they may be able to assist you in getting what you need without the actual act of dealing with City Hall itself, if that is the problem. So that's what comes to me as a sort of middle ground solution. Hopefully something like that will work for you. Next email is from Damien, who writes, thank you for posting everything related to the 24-hour Rock Your Disney Side event, and hope you had a great time there. After glimpsing at the photos and videos that you posted and watching the live broadcast of the event, I've now become interested in going to one of these events. What would be some tips for first-timers? Well, Damien, Disney has not officially announced any more of the 24-hour events, but based on the success that they've done so far, I would not be surprised at all if they did another one, and one after that, and one after that. They seem to be increasingly popular and better organized every time they do it. My tip, there's different ways to approach this. Do you want to be there for the full 24 hours, or do you just kind of want to pop in and out during the special times? For me, that's really what it's all about, because during the day, during these 24-hour days, it's kind of just your normal day in the park. Yeah, there's a little bit of extra entertainment, but for the most part, it has just been sort of your average day in the parks. But now, early in the morning, before the park opens, and particularly way, way late at night, at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, that's when the park is not normally open. So if you kind of want to just take in the specialness of it, you could show up at 6 a.m., stay for 2 or 3 hours, and then leave and, go rest, take a nap, go in the pool, relax, or maybe stay in the park for a little while and enjoy the rides like a normal day. But at some point, you could venture out and then come back for the late night hours, well rested and refreshed and ready to go. And that way you can certainly stay very, very late, as I did this past time. I was there till almost 4 a.m. in order to engage in all of the fun, interesting, and unique items that are there. Now, if you are planning on staying for 24 hours, take it easy. Go slow, stay well hydrated, feed yourself. Don't expect to, be running around like your typical theme park day and hopping from ride to ride to ride, because 24 hours is a very long time, and you'll just exhaust yourself completely. So I would say my best tip for staying for all 24 hours is to pace yourself, find places to sit and relax, and just enjoy your time while you're there, and then consult the guide, find out when the special entertainment is going on, and enjoy it as it comes. Next email comes from Eric, who writes, I learned this tip from a cast member at Blizzard Beach. If you are the last one out of the park each day, they will get you a special last one out pin. I'm fairly certain that each park does this, but I'm definitely can confirm Blizzard Beach. Eric, I have never heard of that before, so interesting tidbit of information there. Maybe I'll have to stick around the water park someday until being the very, very last one out of there. It's actually got to be weird. I can't imagine walking through the water parks without a ton of people around. Every time I've ever been there, it's just been people everywhere. I've never stayed long enough to be kind of the only one, quote unquote, in the park. And in fact, if you're the last one out, I guess you would be the only guest there. So interesting thought. Thanks. And I think that is where I will wrap up the listener feedback for this week.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
And that brings us to the end of show 479. I hope you enjoyed talking all about Harambe Nights, which is an interesting event. I think a very good transitional event. Not necessarily my favorite ever, although the food was fantastic, but I can see the direction Animal Kingdom is going through this event, which is really important. I'm really looking forward to seeing what is yet to come with, we know the Rivers of Light show, the Lagoon show is coming to that park, along with more street parties, and then, of course, ultimately the nightlife, the glowing plants and all of that of Avatar and Pandora. Should be a really, really interesting new direction for that park that I just, you kind of get a taste of with Harambe Nights, and it's fun. It's a good direction that it doesn't have to rely on the rides and the animals to make that park somewhere worth being. And then, of course, there's Mark Hamill. Wonderfully entertaining. You should definitely go check out his whole conversation, as they called it, over on our YouTube channel. Sit there, watch the whole thing. I guarantee if you are a Star Wars fan, a Mark Hamill fan, or just sort of a fan of funny things, then you will be thoroughly entertained by it. I do want to thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's episode of Inside the Magic. You can find out more about their services by visiting magicaltravel.com. And, of course, visit our website between episodes of this show. It is insidethemagic.net. It's there that you'll find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and plenty more. And if you want a little bit beyond the spectrum of the usual coverage of Inside the Magic, don't forget to check out OutsideTheMagic.com as well. I've been talking about Spooky Empire lately, but now as we're gearing up into summer, we're moving into Halloween announcement season, and that's really where I'm going to start posting like crazy over there, because it's kind of the reason I started that, was to separate all the crazy Halloween coverage from the family-friendly Disney-ness and put them in two separate worlds, but on the same website. So if you are as big into Halloween as I am, don't forget to check that out. And please if you want to stay on top of all of it, whether it's Inside the Magic or Outside the Magic, find us on Twitter and Facebook. It's the easiest way to get those updates all the time. If you're using those social media services as much as I do, you'll just get it fed straight to you, and you won't miss a thing on there. So thanks very much to all of you for listening each and every week. Looking forward to a lot of great Harry Potter fun coming up in the near future, so it should be pretty exciting. Have a magical week. Bye.
There's a great, big, beautiful just a dream away.